Hey guys, how are we doing? We have got our next speaker coming in very, very soon. His name is Tony J. Selimi, and I am so excited about all of my speakers. I'm so excited about having Tony on as well. Tony, my gosh, he's got 5 books written out. He's a 5 times best-selling author. His book outsold Tony Robbins' book. We all know Tony Robbins. If you don't need to research Tony Robbins right now, he's been interviewed by Jack Canfield. He's been interviewed by it's just so many amazing people. He's been on TV. He's been on radio shows. He's been on ABC, ABN. He started his career. He started his life. Literally, he started his life as a child with a disability. He grew up in a civil war. He then, he was homeless on the streets of London. And since then, he's miraculously changed it all around. He's known as a see-through coach. He is so enthusiastic. He's so inspirational. He has got a Child Excellence Award, so he helps children break free of their old restraints. He's got an honourable list of excellence in the UN. He's been interviewed by Brian Tracy. We must all know Brian Tracy. He's been on Sky, Fox, CBS, NBC, ABC. He's been on a TEDx talk as well. And I'm so stoked to humbly introduce to you, Tony. Tony, he was so kind and so wonderful. I left him a voice message and he called me straight away. I was in the middle of a workout. Well, I'm so happy about to give me a rest. But I was in the middle of a workout and he called me and I was just like, oh, hey, Tony, how's it going? And we got to know each other. And I just want to share him with you guys. This is going to be such an incredible class with Tony. So I humbly introduce you, Tony. There he is.
Hello, Dale.
How are you?
I'm extremely well. I just had a few consultations from clients from Switzerland. So I got ready and switched over.
Those Swiss clients, my word. Mate, it's finding so wonderful to actually see your face, because I know we had a conversation yesterday, and it's so cool as well how sporadic and spontaneous you are to help other people. And having looked through your bio, I haven't read your book yet, I'll be honest, because I've only just found out properly, but I'm 1,000% going to buy it. #loneliness, amazing, especially so crucial in this time right now. There are more as well too. But you've accomplished so much from the beginning of being labelled as have a disability when you're a child, survived through a civil war, homeless in London, and now you are winning, humbly winning. And it's fantastic. It's so cool. It's a pleasure to meet you, my friend.
Dale, thank you for the opportunity to be of service.
It's all my pleasure. All my pleasure. I've given you a slight introduction, Tony, beforehand. So feel free if you want to say a little bit more about you. It might be more authentic coming from yourself. And then we can get straight into the class. I'm really excited about it.
Sure. Basically, I'm Tony J. Selimi. Thank you for this opportunity to be of service to children and parents out there who are listening to this broadcast to how best adjust themselves in order to harmonize the relationship between parenting and a modern generation, as we call it, Z generation children, or even Y generation, because some parents might be generation Y and other parents might be generation X. But how do we harmonize this relationship where everything else is changing around us, especially at those times when it's so much uncertainty? So I have spent about 30 years in studying, research, reading a lot of books, and many of the adversities. I'm not sure what you mentioned in there, but you did mention some when I heard you, that actually shaped me into digging deeper and deeper in understanding the psychology and the importance psychology plays in every area of our life, whether being when it comes to health, whether being when it comes to addressing conflicts parents have in today's world of uncertainty, how best to bring their children up, because most of the parents today did not have technology, and their children are being born into a world that they are totally 100% wired, or being the problems that a lot of business owners out there are facing right now in a world that basically it's changing by the second. So this is what really inspired me from a very young age to go out there and help people and understand the problems and resolve as many problems as I can for people. And this is one of the things that every adversity I faced, which I share in all of my books, in Path to Wisdom, which became 7 times international best-selling author, despite some people actually told me, I'm not good enough, and you have this and you have that, and labeling me, and I'm, who the, all of things that normally people tell you, especially if you come like I do as a teenage refugee in this country, and I had a lot of labels being put to me as a result of not my fault, because I wasn't born to be a refugee.
Yeah.
So it's my entire country was murdered while I had to endure all of the labeling when I was only a teenager living homeless on the streets of London. So I used all of that to actually better my life and see what is it I can do to help people and be a mirror for the people to raise their vibration, raise their energy, raise their psychology, so they can live a healthy, they can have more sort of work-life balance, and they can excel in every area of their life.
Yeah, Tony, I have all the questions in the world. I'm just going to open with the fact that your book actually outsold Tony Robbins' book, didn't it? That's amazing. Really cool. Really, really cool.
I mean, it was incredible. It was a very humbling experience, but very emotional, because it's sort of, knowing what I've been through, knowing what my family has been through war, knowing how many people and children around the world, even today, they're going through those things that are inhuman. If we think about it, it's because we don't experience things in our backyard, we tend to put our eyes down. But now I think coronavirus has really awakened a lot of people out there to step out of that selfishness, that we think that as long as we don't have the problem in our backyard, we're okay. But unfortunately, we live in a very global world. And today's generation are used to have that global mindset that a lot of people, older generation, think that they can get rid of it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in today's world, whatever problems we experience, the world experiences. And unless we come together in a collective mindset, and this is where I see failure in our leadership in this country, leadership around the world, failure for not having a strategy for a global problem to be harmonized.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have that, this problem is not going to go away. We shut all the borders. Parents are doing jobs that they were not set up to do. They become teachers, and they're not teachers. So that it gives additional stress, but also to the children, because now they're all locked up in one place.
Yeah, I agree. It's tough, because a parent has to wear so many hats these days now. They have to be the chef, the parent, the friend, the head teacher, the teacher. And they've also got to be themselves. They've got to be a partner or a lover. They've got to be a personal trainer. They've got to be an entertainer.
I mean, traditionally, women are very well set up for jobs like this, because this is why I take my hat off. This is what my parents inspired me from a very young age, to go out there and educate as many women to become leaders. It's in today's world where basically masculinity, most men feel like they've lost their masculinity. Why? Because men have to do all those jobs that you just mentioned. And on top of that, expected to be the main provider in the house. So the dynamics in there totally has shifted for modern parents. And today's modern parents, majority of them are parents because they want to be parents, and they have a very different mindset of the old parenting that we have. But the psychology in us tend to be of the old parenting without us even realizing it.
Yeah, it's really interesting you say as well, because we're all from different generations, Y or X or whatever. And like you say, some of the older generations may think, live with the philosophy of ignorance is bliss. If we don't know, it's not happening to us. But this modern day society now is so technological. Children have access to everything around the world, and for them to be highlighted with that, and to see that, receive that information, and have that have an effect on them without being guided from their cultural architects in the house, is a bit scary and a no. So I completely fathom exactly what you're saying. There's a bit of a disconnect, and along with that, it's scary for parents that don't know how to cope with this new change in the world, and it's scary because they might put a lot of pressure on themselves to cope and be the best parent they possibly can to this little creature. But after you may know Dr. Bruce Lipton, who says that labels thrown around. Over 70% of what we teach our children is negative, limiting, and sabotaging. That's a bit scary as well. I'm not sure what I would love to know your views on it, Tony.
Well, I think it's today's children are so much more smarter than parents give credit to them.
Yes, agreed. Mm-hmm.
And it's unfortunate that what we must understand today is the fact that this new generation are so much more aware, and intelligently they grow faster. Although we might judge things like for them being consistently on media and not having the same traditional outlook about life, but the reality is today's children also have their own pressures, because they're not concerned, like there's so much research out there. Today's children are not concerned, for instance, to be homeowners. They want experiences. Okay, so they are growing up to go around the world and have experiences. So and the other part is basically they're concerned about things like climate change. They're more aware about global issues that affect every single human being, rather than sort of the old generation where they think the problem is local at home. And if it's not at home, the problem does not exist. But today's children, they like when you see, I look at it from my perspective, for instance, as a gay man, I'm looking at children today. They have no issues about sexuality. They embrace children as they are. They're not trying to enforce any form of be this or be that. And when you look at our generation and our parents, they were consistently telling you what to do. So in a way, we're quite lucky that children are awakening. And a lot of parenting today is about how to be the best parent to the child. So the child has the freedom to be who they want to be, not to be programmed what to be. And most of us have been programmed what to be, forgetting that we have the intelligence to melt and adapt to the ever-changing environment. And if you look at the generational gap, and if you look at how the history has evolved through centuries, not only now, consistently there have been new generation, new parenting, and new way of thinking. However, our reptilian brain remembers memories that basically we still today use it when we don't have to use it.
Because it's unnecessary.
Yes, it is unnecessary. We don't have snakes around our houses anymore. Okay, we don't have lions running around in the garden, so we can safeguard our children. So it's a very different idea. It's every child. I'm looking at I'm a godparent to a lot of my nieces and nephews, and my niece from Switzerland, she's a year and a half. She learned how to use WhatsApp to call me on the phone. A year and a half.
Wow.
That is a wow. But then not just that. I mean, we're looking at X Factor. We're looking at Britain's Got Talent. We're looking at children who are as young as 5 who sing better than any singer out there. So, it's quite miraculous. I think it's parents and children today, especially younger parents who are also brought up with a new way of thinking and technology. They do everything. For them, parenting is more important than going to work. It's more important for them to provide for their children and the child to be free and to choose whatever they want, whatever profession, whether it's homeschooling, whether it's going to school, education, or entrepreneurial. So today's parents are more open about it. Yes, there are concerns, but majority of the concerns will come maybe because the parents have their parents living with them, or they have the voice of their own parents telling them how to bring up their children.
That's spot on. Hit the nail on the head. You are one of the most sought after cognitive expert coaches in the world, and there's people who are going to be watching this either now or on repeat, thinking, "Oh, this is so cool to have Tony speak to us, for free. It's amazing. It's so cool." And I know that you like to serve because that gives you so much joy and pleasure. What would your recipe be? Generalizingly speaking, of course, what would your recipe be for a parent that's kind of been programmed by their parents? What so they can give their child a bit more of a diverse life?
Yes, I mean, one of the things that I teach about is like when I wrote A Path to Wisdom, I set together. I said, how do I bring 30 years of material knowledge, which means the physical world, and spiritual knowledge, because my parents brought me up spiritually from a very young age. I had a lot of spiritual influence in myself. and I understood the importance of both. And I wanted to bring something together as a tool for people, including parents. So I sat together, and because having an engineering mind and having a healing mind, they used to contradict in me. And this is the contradiction also the parents have. The part of themselves who's a spiritual parent who knows the freedom that your child is there and they will grow, and the material part, which is that physical part that's been programmed by their parenting, how to think and how to bring children. So one of the tools in there, those are 25 principles that everybody in the world can use them, and this is what I teach around the world. And one of them, it's about language and the importance of language. For instance, in the importance of how to educate and speak to your children. But not just that, but how do you handle objections by an older programming, I call, okay? Because as an engineer, I always draw parallels to computers and networks, and working 20 years in the corporate world, consistently seeing the shifts technology has brought in business, in mindset, in the way we do things. But that technology comes from within us. We are the same. We are the computers we judge.
Yeah, hence why the word program.
When it comes to how do you handle, first of all, one, it's you having your own, I would say, authentic way of being a parent.
Yeah.
And then the voices that are outside of you could be the voices of your parents, grandparents, friends in your circles, social class, religion, it does not matter. All of those voices, then they'll come on top of you. And then you're looking at your children who have a totally different behavior than the one you had and the one parents and grandparents had. And as a parents, you are then in the middle of this noise and how to filter that noise. But it starts with you. It starts with you knowing what is it that you value the most. So most parents, if you ask them, they will say it's their children. It's, sometimes when I've had clients who basically, they had just one-off session with me. And they said to me, we don't have wealth. Okay. And through questioning, I bring them to realize their biggest asset, the biggest wealth they have, is their children. And when I ask them, if I took your child, how much would that be for you? How much? What's the price for your child? And they say it's priceless. So you do have wealth. And if you take that as a primary thinking about what is your values, your children will have the same values. So would your parents, so would your grandparents. And your job is finding a way to talk in their values, not in yours. And being able to adapt your language in a way that your children become harmonious with you and they feel supported, but not just supported, but also challenged. Because most parents, especially parents who suffered a lot, they think by giving everything children, they'll be better children. Every human person develops the most at the border of support and challenge. That on its own can change every family dynamics in the world.
That's so key. That's so key, isn't it? If a parent's been through hardship from their parents, they think, oh, I don't want that to ever happen to my child. I'm going to give everything I possibly can to them, my essence, everything. They don't have to lift a finger. But in essence, you're kind of like destroying their character.
The other part of their stuff. So when they go in the real world, they won't be able to face challenges like we can. So it is essential to both listen to that, but also give your children challenges. And being able to give those challenges in a way that the child feels supported through challenge. There's a very fine, balanced language how that is done. And this is why a lot of parents, when they come to me and they say to me, my child is like this, and my child is like that, and my child is like that. And then I have a session with a child, and the child is perfectly normal.
Yeah.
Then I have to adjust the dynamics of their thinking, how they can harmonize that so they see the child for who they are, not for who they want them to be. That's the biggest fault majority of the parents in the world do.
That is so true. That is so true. Respect. You respect this human that you've created. Don't you mold them into the plasticine shape you want. Allow them to mold themselves and support the process.
What parents forget is, okay, they have sex, they conceive, and the baby is growing. Okay? Did they have any form of input how that intelligence works? Okay?
Yeah.
It did it itself. All you did is a sexual act. The rest of it, that intelligence, it's in the child. And one of the things I always use metaphor, Dales, when I coach my clients, so it really clicks, so they never repeat that kind of behavior. So I take usually sometimes when parents invite me in their homes, when I work with affluent parents, and I take them into the garden, and I said, pick up any favorite flower tree, and they pick up the favorite flower and tree. I said, let's go over there, and I take their child with them, and I said, okay. So I said, how about if we spend the next 365 days sitting in here and telling that flower how to grow? Would it work?
No way.
No way. So the children don't need to be told how to grow. Similarly, just the way we nurture nature, if parents learn how to nurture children, children will grow into nature.
Yeah.
The only thing they need is nurturing, food, shelter, safety, and helping them adjust their psychology and learn in a way that they want to learn, not in the way that we perceive them they need to learn.
And you need to listen.
Yes, part of communication is listening. But again, what you listen, a lot of people think they listen, but they not truly listen, because if I ask the child says, no, they're not listening.
Yeah.
You know, I had people from Oxford who came and brought their 16-year-old son who told me, you know, he doesn't want school, the grades are going down and all of this. So I started working with the child. Child was perfectly normal. He was doing exactly what he wants. He's now become one of the best video gamers out there.
Yeah.
Making his own money at the age of 17.
Yeah. I'm seeing that so much what you're saying. I'm seeing that in a lot of my clients as well. The child is perfectly healthy, perfectly normal. They're just carving their own path, and you're putting up a resistance to it. So the more resistance you put, the more frustration, the more anguish, the more, let's put it, undesirable emotions are going to take place, and it's going to end up in a bit of an explosion in the household. Whereas if you just allow them to nurture themselves, you allow them to grow themselves, you can nurture and help them throughout that process. You are both going to be singing from the same hymn sheet. It's in essence, maybe, Tony, maybe I'm wrong in saying this, but maybe as a parent, it's about letting go and having courage in that.
Yeah, there's a fine balance with that, Dale, because naturally parents can't let go. And the reason they can't let go is because they are designed, just like every species out there, until the child, in a way, shows that they can survive on their own, parents will care. And the reality is sometimes that caring can be over too much, where basically goes in the space of control. So as I said to you, there's a fine psychology around both parenting and children. And, you know, one thing I wanted to understand is really psychology at every level. Why? Because my clients come from all over the spectrum of people, whether they are entrepreneurs, leaders, millionaires, billionaires, celebrities, average parent, a professional person, it does not matter. Psychology is the same. You know, how we work and how the psychology works is the same. It's just the data that's gone inside, and that data, how then the brain proceeds. And when you change the data and the information, and we put a new code in there, a new way of thinking, the brain changes. And, you know, we are energy beings, whether we like it or not. You know, in #loneliness, I dedicated an entire chapter to have people understand that we first and foremost communicate with the human energy field before we open our mouth. And if people want to understand that, sometimes you can watch a person on the street without knowing anything, you like them. Or without knowing anything about them, you hate them.
Accidentally.
Or we at work, or we at school, or, you know, parents say, oh, in the kindergarten, I hate this parent. And I say, why? I just do. Okay? But when I start questioning them, you know, the truth gets revealed. And this is why why I'm called so much. That's why I work a lot, because why I do know all the advertisements that life threw at me. It's shaped me in somebody that I can go out there and help anybody. And that's a gift that I give to my clients and to humanity through my books and through my work. But each person has a unique gift, has a unique calling, has a unique intelligence.
Yeah.
And it's not up to us to tell people. You know, I never tell my clients what to do. I just ask them a lot of questions until they realize what they need to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And for a child to grow as well, and I know that you've got that fine balance between support and challenge. You had a lot of challenge in your life, like an astronomical amount of challenge. Would not would that would that be something that you I know for why you look back on that and think, I thank that day because it made me who I am, and I wouldn't be doing this now if it wasn't the case. But for yourself, do you think children have to go through that size of challenge to become great? And the bigger the challenge, the greater they become. Where does your thoughts lay on that?
I think every human being, whether you like it or not, will have equal challenge and support. The fact that perceptions are not there for you to see it is a totally different issue. I have not met one single person around the world who's never had a challenge. So therefore, no child who comes into this world will not have a challenge. They will have challenge in their own way, in their own reality, in that moment in time. Okay, so if you look at how children right now are being brought up, they will never know the freedom we've had. You know, I grew up with no technology. I was born in the 69, okay? And 69, there was zero technology. Neither were in the 70s. It's only in the 80s we started seeing technology impacting our lives. You know, in the 80s, there was no websites at all. Around the world, there was zero website. Okay, if you think about how quickly every 10 years the world is changing, parents must adapt themselves to that change if they want their children, their best for their children. And psychology is key to that. That's why I love what I do. And that's because everything, no matter what the problem for my client is, I have the tool to support them to fast track that. Because one thing nobody has, more or less, it's time. Once you use it, it's up, it's gone. So most of my clients want to save their time, have an incredible life, and being able with, I would say, with this inner peace warrior to overcome challenges without impacting their mental health, their emotional health, physical health, their family, their children, their finances, their businesses.
Yeah.
Because that will always be part of life. We cannot avoid one without the other, because in our making, we are not one. We are whole.
Yeah. I was quite fortunate when I was younger. My mum and dad gave me everything they possibly could. So fortunate is a relative term. And I was fine. I got bullied at school. I got through that. And then it's only up until maybe the last 6 years or so, I went through a really tough patch in my life. 5 major things happened to me, really, really big things. And I got really depressed. I was down. I was down in the dumps. And I thought, well, I don't want to feel like this, but I don't know how to get out of it. This was my challenge. So if anything, when I was going through that, I wasn't ready for it because I didn't learn it when I was a child. I didn't learn to go through this adversity and to give myself enough coping mechanisms. For goodness sake, school didn't teach me anything in regard to understanding self and identity and getting through anxiety or depression. But it took me a long time. It took me a long time, longer than I'd hoped, to come out of that. So for yourself, I know you work with so many clients around the world. Is there anything that you could possibly say to an adult if they've gone through quite an easygoing life to a point, boom, adversity, infidelity, death in the family, job loss, whatever? What might be your golden nugget of? And I know it works more than advice because I'm a coach as well. But what might be the thing that you might say to them or imprint on them?
Invest in the greatest asset, which is you. And that investment is whether you go it through training, expert training, whether you have a coach, mentor, healer, therapist, or whether you go to school, or whether you spend time every single day reading books, listening to audiobooks, or watching TED Talks, or watching things out there that enable your psychology to be prepared for things that might come. Because the reality is you will never tackle the problem in your life with the same psychology you created. Okay? That's I tell, no matter, like yesterday, I had a client from Switzerland, and he's got 4 children, 34 years old guy. And I'm teaching him to become the next Jeff Bezos. But one of the part of the problem was the family life. Why? Because he's expected to be in the family life 95%. You cannot create a company and run a company of that size with you being in the family 95%. So he was in conflict with himself, with his wife, with his parents. So I had to dissolve that conflict. And we spent half a day speaking to his wife, to his parents, to dissolve that, to see how by him building that kind of company, all of them will benefit.
Wow.
And play their part into it.
Okay, so they were fixed in their own values, and they weren't respecting his values.
Absolutely.
Okay,
And not seeing how, labeling him that, he spends a lot of time on computer, not with the children. That was his wife was telling me. So I turned psychology around and I said, so where do you spend your time? Until I made her realize what she values, that's what she spends her time. That's what he values, what he spends her time. And if you don't see each other's values and how they support and challenge you at the same time, you are in conflict.
Yeah, precisely.
And you won't be able to be in your greatness, whether as a parent or as a business or as a mom.
Yeah. Just like with children as well, if they want to play games, they want to play Fortnite right now.
Yes.
And the mom wants the child to come off, and there's a conflict in values. Clearly, his values is to relax and have fun and learn via this and be social with friends. And then there's this other person, the cultural architect of the whole family, telling them to stop doing that, stop living your values, and come off. That's when there's conflict because of that. What might a parent say, or how might a parent act differently to encourage the child to come off that?
I cannot, not just because it's my book, but parents around the world are reading Path to Wisdom with their children.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant.
They go through the 25 principles together and have a dialogue together. And they use #loneliness to see how every adversity can be turned into a thriving opportunity. So a Path to Wisdom gives you a foundation, gives you a psychological tool that you can upgrade your psychology, your dialogue, your communication, your business, your finances, same as quicker as you update your apps on your mobile phone.
And we can get that from Amazon.
You can get it from Amazon. You can get it anywhere around the world. So, I have, like, when I go to schools, in some of the schools around the world, because I'm also a children ambassador for NOHE and UN. And part of my work is basically sharing this wisdom in schools. And one of the things I'm working in the background, creating modules of every principle for children as young as 5 to learn it. Because forget about, children when I grew up. Children as young as 5, they're already more mature than somebody in my age when I was 15. That's what we must understand as a generation. Okay, and we cannot talk down to children because, I grew up where everybody was older than me was right, and I was wrong.
Right.
Okay? And you will still have people around the world where they have that sort of generational injected values on other generation, where it means I'm older, I'm wiser. Unfortunately, wake up, you're not.
Yeah.
Because most of them, they know everything about technology and they know more about the world than any grandparent or parent out there in the world who can't even use the technology properly.
Yeah. Yeah, they might be clever 50 years ago, but not today.
Correct. So we must really learn to humble ourselves and work in harmony with each other and learn from each other from different generational gaps, and also how the environment and the society is rapidly changing, and adapt to that change in a harmonious way so we keep the most important thing, which is health. Some of the parents that I work, they do have money. They don't come to me to make money. They come to me because their children are depressed, and as young as 12, 14, they have suicide thoughts. They take contraception pills at 14 instead of having that maturity and education that the child learns for themselves the good and the bad. Because most parents tend to inflict in the child the bad things. Child will be rebellion if you tell the child everything is bad. They'll find it to make it good, and they will teach you how good it is.
Yeah. And it's interesting what you say in regard to being humble, because that could be scary for a parent, because when they do that, they have to allow themselves to be vulnerable. And that's scary for a parent, because a lot of the times parents, maybe in the old generation, are seen to be in the strong matriarch. I've got to lead the whole family. I'm here. I'm doing this, and this. I'm the strong one. I don't show emotion. I can support the whole family, male or female. And to open those doors and to express that vulnerability with the child can be quite scary for parents.
Yes. It's, if you look at the millennial parents, millennial parents are different. Why? Because, as I said earlier, and I mentioned earlier, they choose to be parents.
Yeah.
And they have much more maturity, and people have children at much older age, in their 30s, rather than sort of in their below 20 and in their 20s. If you're a parent, I'm studying my own life. I'm looking at some of my sisters. They got married at 16. Okay, what do you know as a 16 about parenting?
Not a lot.
But majority of the millennials, they know that it's an issue. So therefore, they date, they meet people, and they keep dating until they find somebody. They can actually truly be magnificent parents. So a lot of the children are a byproduct of a lot of parenting that was toxic for the child. And they brought their children as an excuse of they're going to live together. Well, wake up. The divorce rates around the world are increasing.
50% apparently right now, isn't it? Yeah, that's crazy. Absolutely crazy. It baffles me sometimes, isn't it? Some people tend to get to become parents because it's part of tradition, or it's the next thing to do. Well, my mum and dad had kids, so we should have kids, right? Going into parenthood, I'm not a parent, so I can't possibly comment. But going into parenthood is a huge responsibility, and what I've learned so far, you've spoken to over 100 million people worldwide. I've spoken to 50,000 people worldwide. Well, I would like it to get to 1 million. That's my next step. But what I've learned so far is that being a good parent is just being there 90% of the time, and just being able to listen and show compassion, and you don't over.
I'm going to stop you there, and hopefully I will teach you the lesson of your life, and anybody who is listening here. You mentioned the word compassion.
Yes.
I teach all of my clients around the world to delete that word from their language.
Oh, wow. Tell me why.
Okay. I want you, I'm not going to tell you, but I would like you, can you go on Google at the moment?
I certainly can. Yeah.
Okay. This is what I do with my clients. I don't tell you. I help you see it for yourself and acknowledge it so you can change it and never use it. Go to Google and search the meaning of word compassion. And hopefully any of the parents out there, or speakers or coaches who I keep listening to them on their, wherever I am, they still use that word.
Oh my gosh.
Go, please read it.
I'm going to put it on here. So
absolutely, put it on screen.
So you can see it as well. Everyone watch this. Sympathetic pity and concern for the suffering and misfortunes of others.
So every time you use the compassion, you attract that energy. So you share that pittiness and misfortune. So you're not really empowering people.
No, that's, oh my goodness gracious me.
So many coaches and people out there who use it, and they really send a toxic message and old psychology and reprogram people, and everybody say, oh, I'm compassionate speaker. Oh, I'm compassionate therapist. Oh, I'm very compassionate human being. Keep suffering. When you wake up, come to me and I'll teach you a few lessons.
So you want to really put some fire into people and do make them wake up. Make them be the parent that doesn't want to talk about compassion. They're now in my world the C word. Compassion. We don't want that. We want to be.
Next time you speak somewhere, mention me how I've taught you this and teach them.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
In Path to Wisdom, I talk about the importance of language. Majority of people use language they don't understand. Majority of people. And what was interesting for me, some of the most eloquent, some of the most high-class English people who are my clients, me as an immigrant who learned English in this country, I'm teaching them what their own language means.
Wow. And you've taught me a lesson today, and probably everyone else watching as well. So I'm not arrogant enough to say, oh no, well I didn't mean that. I meant da 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 da. I'll tell you.
By the way.
Yeah.
It's not about what you mean. You've just used it, and you have no awareness of the energy you're sharing with that, and how that psychologically unknown to the person goes into their brain, and they keep sharing the same energy. Let's suffer together. And I ask people, so do you want to suffer? No, I want this. But I said, then change the language.
Yeah. I say struggle. So I think, please correct me with your world, but I say struggle. I like struggle, because if you type that into Google, it means breaking free of old restraints. So people say, oh, I don't want to struggle anymore. It's like, well, do struggle and realize who you are and nurture yourself and grow and invest in yourself and struggle, because struggle is breaking free of the old you, the old restraints that isn't probably doing you any justice or service right now. I'm so glad that I've actually learned to be a bit more aware of my language and understand that this word down here is not on my vocab anymore.
Yes. I mean, there are many things that I pick up on people. And one of these things, I always look at the etymology of the language and the words, and look at the meaning of the words, because what we think becomes energy we send out there. Most people speak about law of attraction, and they go speak about law of attraction. I look in their lives, they have zero about what they speak. So there's no congruency between what they teach and what they have.
Yeah.
So that the person out there who listens, they're not stupid. They will pick it up.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So if we go back to the original question we're talking about, how to get your children to brag about you. So far, we've got that awareness. You've got to be aware. You've got to respect. I believe what we're saying is, and I do this too, when a parent establishes their child's values, they can understand their child and they can speak the language of their child and understand what they want and how to nurture. And therefore, it's going to have a lot more clear, concise, crystal communication. I want to touch on your book as well. So you've got what, 20? How many principles? 20.
In the first Path to Wisdom, there are 25 principles which are aligned with spiritual laws and some universal laws and scientific laws. So all of those principles bring together those three laws. Because if those laws are not embodied in your psychology, in your behavior, in your action, in your language, in your thoughts, in your awareness, in your attention, and your body's alarms, you're not going to have the life that you think you have, or the life you think you speak, and the reality shows totally different. So, when I hear people, especially when I start working with clients, we as human beings, we have the idea to over-exaggerate or minimize ourselves. Depend what your psychology is around that. Very few people are real. The first step is to break those illusions over exaggeration or under minimizing yourself. And when I break those illusions, then we start like a fresh sheet. What is the foundation you want to build? If you don't have the foundation for what you want to build, you're not going to get it, no matter how much you brag about it. And it's the same coming back to your children. It's one of the things about when I start working with parenting, the first thing I would do is I start looking at the parent's psychology, and separately I look at child's psychology. And then I will give them my feedback, what can be done. The first thing I will establish is exactly that. I will establish what they are valuing in their own reality. And there is two types of values. One which are authentic to your being, which I'm talking about in the Unfakeable Code, because I'm also talking about the communication with children. And one is communicating in a way to control, and one is communicating mindfully. And those styles are totally different. And that applies not only with your child, it applies with other human beings. And if you're not going to communicate in a way it serves other person, things will not going to happen. So question for you, Dale. So after we communicated, how did you feel?
How did I feel?
Yes.
Woken up.
Okay. So if parents did the same thing, child every day will be awake. So if your child is in a depressed state, it's because you are not seeing them for who they are. And you haven't found a language that matches their listening skills.
And I wouldn't, keep on finding it. Don't put pressure on yourself. Do the best you can with everything you've got available, and and if you say, "Oh, I can't do it," I've tried. You haven't tried everything. Otherwise, your child will be happy, and you can nurture that as well.
They need experts. They can go to you. They can come to me. They can go to other people locally, wherever they are in the world. But always learn.
Yeah, always learn. Always learn. And I've learned an awful lot today. Just to reiterate, everybody that's watching this, you can get Tony's book wherever, really. Amazon's probably the best bet, probably the most convenient and quickest, I'd say. I'm 100% going to get it. So it's a Path to Wisdom.
Path to Wisdom, #loneliness, and the Unfakeable Code will be soon available from end of summer, August. In there's a 10 codes, because in the first one, it's about principles consistently to upgrade your psychology. The second one is the way I designed this is the same we design computers. We can put a computer, but then we keep updating it.
Right.
So we keep the original computer system, but then we need consistently updating. Why? Because consistently the reality demands of us to do that.
100%. Like apps, like you're saying.
New threats and new information, new way of doing things, new apps are coming out there, new ideas. So therefore, it's the same, the human being. That's why I said earlier on, we are the computers we design. But unfortunately, most people, they're not upgrading their computer. They keep purchasing mobile phones and devices or cars that, they depreciate in value. But wisdom never goes out of fashion.
What a great book for parents to read, completely updating their app and their knowledge to understand. That will be obviously forward-thinking parents that actually care and give a damn about the sanctum and the future of their child. Yeah.
I had a couple of parents who are clients from the US, and I gave them a chapter of the new book. They went like, oh my God, this is like revolutionize how people think. And I said, yes, I'm doing that. I've been doing that since I was a child. Because I know all the adversities that I saw, the inequalities I saw in the culture, the inequalities towards my mom, towards women, towards orientation, religion, creeds, it does not matter. But at the same time, I grew up in a very culturally diverse reality, with Gypsies, with Macedonians, Albanians, Turkish people, all in their own different culture, different languages, different way of operating. But somehow, from a very young age, my parents instilled in me the importance of communicating to others in what they want to hear, not what you want to say.
Oh, okay. And communicating what they want to hear, not what you want to say.
Meaning what their values are, because people hear what is most authentic to their values.
Okay. I thought
want to hear so to please you, but to hear because we hear what's important to us.
Right.
I wouldn't be in this broadcast if I couldn't be of service to people.
Agreed.
That's not important to me just to waste my time when I have people paying a lot of money for me to go out there and share my wisdom that I've been collecting for 50 years.
Yeah.
It's not in alignment with what I value.
No. That's amazing. Yeah, that's another good twist there, because I was thinking, okay, so obviously through service or through trying from a young age, from children, if they were to do that, I don't want them to get lost in pleasing other people. I do want them to please themselves. I don't know if you think that's selfish or looking after self, but to help nurture other people, because in a way, it's almost like perception projection. If you want to nurture other people, you're essentially nurturing yourself, because we operate from self onto others.
One of the biggest problems I see, and I've seen it with many parents that I worked, it's how critical they are.
Right.
And if I reflect the mirror back at them when I work with them, why? Because they grew up like that. Okay? And without realizing there's another form of language that you can still get results without you being critical. For instance, changing behaviors. That's why I specialize in behavioral change, because every time you change behavior, you create results.
And well, behaviors are actions, isn't it? Really. So that's.
I had a parent who said to me, my child never cleans up. I said, really? I said, leave it with me for a week. You will see how your child will clean up. Within a week, his behavior totally changed.
Wow. Astronomical. Amazing. And you've got to have, yes, your adversity at the beginning that maybe created you on and put you on this path to serving other people. And obviously, I know for a while that you're getting more than money. What else is it that you're getting from this? I mean, I know it's about service, but is there any, just before we go, because I know you're a busy guy, an active man, what else? What is your cause for doing what you're doing? You want to speak to 1 billion people.
Yes. Basically, bring this work to change the lives of 1 billion people. Why? Because I know how the world will shift. So when I have people saying to me about climate change is not going to happen if your psychology is not in alignment with that. So you can go and talk and brag about it as much as you want. But I go back at the root cause. If we want to change the world and live a better world for the future generation, we must change ourselves. Michael Jackson said it very clearly. Look at the man in the mirror.
He did say that. He did. I love that song. Yeah.
But most of us, when we heard it, we did not have this awareness I'm speaking to you from. It's taken me years and thousands of books and working with I've done over 35,000 of private coaching, mentoring, developing people. That on its own teaches you a lot of things.
Yes, absolutely. And that has a knock-on effect with everybody else as well. I love your enthusiasm and passion towards this. It's so you.
No passion. No passion.
No, not passion.
Go back to Google. Meaning of passion. And you're not going to use those two words anymore. Compassion or passion.
I like you stretching me, by the way, Tony.
Unless you are teaching and unless you're sharing and say, this guy out there crushed me on my own interview. But I grew up so much as a result, and I am of greater service to you.
This is brilliant. I love being crushed because I can grow, can't I?
I've been crushed all my life. So,
would you say it was this one, strong and barely controllable emotion?
Do you want to be perceived as a strong and barely controllable emotional guy?
I don't.
Okay, so you're not going to be a good coach if you tell people I'm passionate, like most coaches and speakers out there. I'm passionate about this. I put a line of 12 speakers at an event I spoke last year here in London. And I said, okay, I want to do an experiment with all of you guys. Let's teach these people who paid a lot of money to see us. So I said, tell me, all of you, why do you like passion? They all did it. And I let them face the people. And I said to the guys in there, I said, on the stage screen, I want you to put the meaning of word passion. And I asked the audience beforehand, how many of you are passionate? All of their hands went up. When I showed them this on the screen, and I said to them, how many of you want to be passionate? No hands went up. And the speakers don't even know what I'm saying yet. And they asked the speakers to turn around, and I said, read this. I said, if you want to be a great speaker, great educator, learn what you mean by your words. Words are powerful.
I've had my foundations shaken and awakened.
That's my job, to do that, to help people to be of greater service to others.
Well, 100%. And I value your patience as well with this as well, Tony. And actually having the strength as well to call me out, or just to, at least in part, because you've given me the choice now whether I choose to still use the word or not use the word.
And believe me, you're going to remember this. Why? Because you want to grow.
Yes.
You will never forget this interview. That I guarantee you.
No, this is going to involve many Instagram posts, by the way, Tony. So I hope you don't mind that. Your fault. Taking no responsibility.
Go ahead, tag me. It's okay. My team always likes, so no problem. Let's have as many people out there as we can.
That's absolutely amazing. This is going to be recorded. I'm going to keep this on the page as well for a certain time. And I just want to say that I'm so grateful for your time. I know full well that how flexible you are. It was so sporadic for you to agree to this after just being on yesterday. And I know for why you are serving people around the world and doing everything you possibly can to hit your 1 billion. And I love that. Thank you for calling me out and giving me the option of understanding a bit more language and dialect. And I'm not going to be stuck and single-minded and thinking, no, I'm going to stick with that because that's all I've known. I'm going to grow and I'm going to understand and I'm going to
each others, Dale, because it's important. All of us who work in the industry, it's important for all of us, first of all, to clean our own mirror before we can clean other people's mirrors. And I have been crushed all my life, and I believe will be crushed more and more because, as I said, the more you grow, your challenges grow. And therefore, your wisdom needs to grow in the same rate if you want to keep continuing growing. You know, to have a billion people reach, I need to have billions amount of money in my bank account.
Yeah.
You know, and help all these people out there. So wealth is part of that. You know, I see a lot of people say, I want to make an impact, but they have zero wealth. They don't have a wealth building mindset.
No.
I said, how do you do that? Oh, spirit. Oh, meditation. All this. No. Out there and help people and serve people. And if you're going to create services and employ people, you need money. So stop living the illusion of spirit. A great spiritual guy is somebody who knows how to turn spiritual wealth into material wealth and material wealth into spiritual wealth. If this coach or teacher or spiritual teacher doesn't have that, stay away.
Yeah, it's just energy. So that's
service to you. Grow materially, grow spiritually, grow physically, grow emotionally, grow in business, grow with your wealth, grow with your family, grow socially, grow your impact, grow your vision.
Wow, you've hit so many targets inside of me, and I really am going to understand and think. Oh, well, I use the word dedication a lot. I'm gonna type in dedication. See if I'm in alignment with that. Whatever. I'm gonna use my whole vocabulary. But definitely compassion and passion. That's going to be a post. I'm going to put you in it. Say this chap here Shut foundations and woke me up a little bit. So that's wicked. And I'm going to share that, if that's okay, with your name.
Share everything we've done in here. By all means, I can also put the video record in my YouTube channel so we can help more people out there.
Please do that, yes. And where can, because I want
send me of it, and then I'll get my team to also upload it in there, and I get a lot of views in there as well. So as many people as we can share it in all media.
Wonderful. I'll speak to Alma as well, so she can, your assistant, so she can, shout about what you do. But at the moment, those of you that are on Instagram, you guys can follow Tony. His account looks like this. So those of you that are on the screen right now, if it wants to load, hopefully it can load. Let's just see. There we go. There we go. So that's Tony's account just there, guys.
Yes, it's Tony J. Selimi.
Yeah, there we go. So there we go. That's him on Instagram, and then I'm sure you can find him on Facebook as well. And just watch what's going on. See how he can influence you for the positive, because it's massively influenced me today, and probably a lot of other people on this call too. So Tony, I want to value your time. I respect you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time, wisdom, and strength actually today. So I 100% would really love to speak with you in the future at a time that's convenient. But you've left me kind of like, ooh, dizzy and awake.
Well, I'm glad I could be of service to you and anybody who's going to be listening to this broadcast. Go out there and learn as much as you can. As I said, it's sort of I've read more than 20,000 books. Each book has given me something different. But not just that, I've serviced so many people out there. So, and those are people who wants to be the expert. By all means, they can book a consultation, see how I can help them. Those of parents who really want to excel with their children, get in touch. But it gives me a pleasure to really get people, refine them so they can go out there and be all they can be. This is the kind of parents I work every single day from all around the world, regardless their nation, regardless their creeds, regardless their religion. Why? Because in the essence, all of those are labels. And this is what I'm talking about, the unfakeable code. And it's a trademark globally now. So I did all the trademarks. When I put those principles together, every single principle has a merit. And every single principle, it's life-changing. So I'll share the name of the first chapter of the book. Take off the mask, your soul is waiting.
Take off the mask, your soul is waiting. Love that.
Okay, so billions of people will know that.
Yeah.
And it will ring true to them. Why? Because we consistently wear masks, afraid to show our true unfakeable being. And this is why the entire book is so refined that basically a lot of people give me credit about Path to Wisdom and #loneliness. And then I co-authored a book about leadership and talk about burnout. And the essence of burnout, same as burnout for parents, same burnout for people who work, who are mothers, who are fathers. Children experience burnout nowadays.
Yeah.
So, an issue that affects everybody. So the unfakeable code, I wanted to put 10 principles, 10 guidelines, and also there are 10 equal different principles for change, behavioral principles for change of the unfakeable code, which can be applied to anybody, anything. So, this is what drives me. And I spent like 18 hours a day to be of service. I only sleep about 4 hours. And people say, how do you keep it up? When your calling inside of you and your vision inside of you is bigger than any problems you experience on the outside, you don't have time to spend your mind with conspiracy theories and people who keep talking, but they're not doing.
Yeah.
I don't have that time.
No.
People who want me, they book a session, they value my time. We work on the session. I don't have time for people to say, let's call, let's message.
No.
Okay.
And I noticed when you first called me, I know that was brilliant. When you first called me, I thought, oh, wow, this guy's very serious. Now, and I really.
But remember, you initiated it.
I did. And it's led to this.
Correct. So, okay. That's why I said to you, when the hearts are combined and you combine from point of view, you truly care about people, care about your job, care about the service, you'll attract most amazing people. That's what I have done. I've attracted all of the teachers once I used to admire, and some of them are now my clients. And they're some of the top experts in the world.
Amazing. Absolutely stunning.
This is where you when the heart is aligned, the psychology is upgraded, and your spirit is free, bring it all together. That's what I do for people. People create miracles. And the last principle in Path to Wisdom is miracle creation. No matter what that miracle means to you, because somebody might be going through health challenges. And for them, miracle is to be perfect health again. So, I'm also known as the world's best healer. But I'm just a channel of love energy. And love heals.
I could talk to you, Chenny, I could talk to you all day. I want to talk to you all day. I want to talk to you all day, buddy. But like I said, I'm thank you so much. I appreciate your energy, your time, being strong with me. And I am definitely going to reach out at some point in the future. And I'm going to be very respectful of your time and the time with the summit as well. So thank you so much for coming on today. I know I've got so much value from that. So many people have as well. They've been reaching out to me privately too. Fantastic. Thank you so much, my man.
Bye-bye, guys.
Thank you very much. See ya.
See ya. Bye-bye.